Hello and welcome to the King Athelstan Primary School virtual tour. The idea of this tour is to give you lots of information about our school prior to you visiting us in person. We hope you find it useful. We're a two-form entry community school, and that means that we've got 60 children in each year group and they're divided into two classes of 30. I know many of you will be interested in particular in our early years classes as your children start their school journey. In our reception classes, we have our two classes of 30 children, and in nursery class, we have a morning class and an afternoon class with 26 children in the morning, 3 and 4 year olds, with 4 2-year-olds working alongside that, and the same in the afternoon, 26 3 and 4 year olds with 4 2-year-olds working alongside them. In our school, we've got 44 different languages, and our multicultural nature and diverse population is something that we're really proud of. We have a children's centre on site and we also have wraparound care, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go through. A little bit of our recent history. We had a big building extension in 2017 and that brought some classes that were in demountable buildings outside into the main school. So we now have 2 Year 2 classes on the lower level there that you can see in the photograph, and on the upper level we have our 2 Year 6 classes. Between those classes we have 2 large group rooms that are used by the whole school, and we've also got some small intervention rooms, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those later. In 2019 we opened a specialist resource provision, and that is for children with the main presenting need is social, emotional, mental health. We had a Mooga, a multi-use games area, installed in 2019, and in 2020 we installed our Key Stage 2 playground. We were recently inspected by Ofsted again, that was in July 2022, and that confirmed that we continue to be a good school. The senior leadership team at the school comprises of myself, Emily Newton, I'm the head teacher, Naomi Ahern, who is the deputy head, Alice Govan is the assistant head who leads on inclusion, and Bex Parker, who is the early years lead. We're a very open door school and we hope to be able to develop very strong partnerships with you quickly. So we are available for people to come and speak to, telephone, email, so that we can really build up very good communication from the very time your children start school. Our classes are named after artists, and I always start off with what I say is the most important room in the school. It's available for everyone and it's called Wiltshire Room. You might also hear it referred to as inclusion room or our nurture space. So our inclusion team are based in this room and we do lots and lots of different things in there. You can see there's a table space, there's a sofa area. The idea of that is that we can run planned interventions, so that might be nurture sessions to build children's social, emotional, mental health and resilience and well-being in school. Or it might be something like a social skills group or some one-to-one intervention. Or it might be an unplanned intervention. So for example, if a child arrives in the morning, they're particularly upset or dysregulated about something, then there can be some immediate support in there to help them prepare for their day and be ready for learning. We also issue regular inclusion newsletters. You can see an example of one there, and there are many more on our website if you want to have a read of those. We are very open about inclusion in our school and we share lots and lots of information with families and with children about special educational needs and disabilities. You might also access Wiltshire Room as a parent if there's something particularly you need some support with, so it could be something like children's sleep patterns or some advice around your child's particular needs. You can see here in the top middle photograph a picture of a pot with a stripy monster on it, and that's Billy, our worry monster, and I'll refer to him later on in the tour. But the inclusion room is all about readiness to learn. Herring class is our specialist resource provision, and as I mentioned previously, the main presenting need for the children in Herring class is social, emotional, mental health. They all have education, health and care plans, and they're all part of the mainstream classes as well. So if your child was in a class in our school, it may very well be that there is a child from Herring class 2 working alongside them. The building is separate and has a covered walkway over to it. And you can see from the photographs that there are some sensory spaces, there's a den, which is a safe space, and some workspaces too. That's group workspaces and individual workspaces. Let's have a look in a little bit more detail at our early years classrooms. The photographs you can see now are nursery class, and it changes very regularly, so when you visit us it may look a little bit different. You can see that we've really focused on having a very natural environment with lots of wooden furniture, plants and natural resources. There's a cloakroom area in each classroom, and depending on the class that's in a different place. All the areas of learning are represented both inside the classroom and outside, so children can learn both within the classroom and in the outside learning environment. And the idea is really to make sure those environments enable children to learn successfully, to make sure they build up positive relationships, and also we respond to their own individual interests as well. In the classroom, the children are trained to use the resources that are available to them. They're all labelled, and we train the children to get things out and put them away at the end of the session, so that they really own the classroom space and can select the resources that they need. Some more examples of some of the natural materials that we use, and we use those in role play and counting and placing and arranging. And you can see there as well some of our book corners, so top right and bottom left are some of our book corners, again with a real focus on a natural but comfortable environment ready for reading. Reading is a really big focus in the school. You can see there one of our favourite books, Hairy Maclary from Donaldson's Dairy. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with that book. As I mentioned, all of the areas of learning are represented in each classroom each day. So you can see here some examples of fine motor control, so threading and hammering the small pins. Again, that's developing skills ready for writing, so really building up the muscles in the hand ready for writing later on, mark making in nursery and writing in reception. You can see in the background top left some coloured strips and some coloured signs. I'll tell you a little bit more about those as we move through. They're called our zones of regulation. We're really lucky at King Athelstan. We've got 3 great outdoor spaces, and early years has its own particular space. So you can see here some examples of photographs from our early years environment. We have playhouses, we have mud kitchens in both reception and nursery. We have opportunities for creative play to develop communication and language, and real massive opportunities to develop the gross motor skills in terms of physical development, which is so important. There's a small area for reception to do their learning, and that's free flow inside and out throughout most of the day, and the same for nursery. And then there's a large area that's used by both nursery and reception. You can see it with the blue mound there in the middle, and that's used at play times but also in learning time, particularly for gross motor skills. In the top left picture you can also see what we refer to as loose parts, so tyres and planks of wood and bits of guttering, and that's to encourage children to explore and create using those materials things that they're interested in themselves. So you might go out into that environment and you might see the children have built a fire engine, for example, and they're role-playing firefighters. Here are some examples of the literacy-based areas in our early years classrooms. You can see a phonics display there, an activity. We use Read Write Ink as our phonics scheme. It doesn't matter what scheme a school uses for their phonics as long as it's used consistently. And we start Read Write Ink in reception. It goes through year 1 and 2 and then used throughout the school as necessary. You can see Hessian-backed boards there. We're moving to Hessian-backed display boards across the school to reduce the overstimulation in classrooms and keep it very natural, keep it very calm. You can see on the top right there some examples of writing. So writing is celebrated in every classroom, and children arrive in reception maybe writing their name, perhaps writing a few words, or maybe not being able to do that yet, and that's absolutely fine. By the end of the year, children will usually be writing sentences, maybe short stories, again depending on their age and stage and their rates of progress. It's very much on an individual basis. There are areas in reception classes and nursery classes for children to display their own work and things that they feel really proud of. So you can see some examples there of some artwork and some paintings and some writing that children have displayed in their own particular areas. There's opportunities for writing across the classroom, so not just in a writing area, but in the creative area, in role play areas, and we try to encourage children to use writing at many different points as they can across the day. Here are some examples of maths areas in reception classes, lots of interactive displays, and you can see children there working as part of a whole class group in a whole talk session on their maths. We use Maths Mastery, and you can see children there rehearsing forming numbers and also rehearsing making pictorial representations of numbers. There are lots of opportunities for creative play, role play and small world, and really drawing on children's knowledge and understanding of the world and moving that on forwards. Different times of the year, things will look different. So those small world setups that you can see there now have been set up by members of staff, but as the year goes through, you'll find children setting up their own small world using the different resources in the classrooms. There are lots of opportunities for creative development. In all of our early years classrooms, as well as the main classroom, we have a sort of lean-to area with hard floor where we can make lots and lots of mess and be very creative, which is absolutely fantastic to have that additional space. So you can see there that children have access to resources to use freely, and some of those sessions might be supported by an adult and some of them might be child initiated or child led. Every classroom is equipped with an interactive whiteboard. The one you can see there is in nursery, and then there's a carpet space in front of that. So sessions will normally start with the children all together on the carpet, perhaps the majority of the class in that group, perhaps in reception class with whiteboards, and a short session of everyone together around the learning for that particular session. The children will then go off and do either free choice or an adult-led activity or an adult-supported activity or child-initiated play as well. So all of the learning is through play-based activities. You can see there role play areas as well, and also opportunities for snacks. And we run snack in different ways in different times of the year. So at the moment in reception, the reception children go and help themselves to a snack, fruit and milk, and those are provided by the school. And then they put their photo up on the wall to say that they've had it. You might see a nursery class sitting down and having snack all together as a group. Fruit snack is provided from nursery all the way up to the end of year 2, and after year 2 children bring their own fruit and vegetable snacks from home. Here you can see some of our outdoor space in early years. That is the nursery separated area that's right outside of their classroom. And the same is available for reception class, which is just to the left of the picture behind the hoops. We have a very positive behaviour policy in the school. It's all about children making the right choices and being supported when they don't make the right choice or when things go wrong. We're very, very calm in our approach. We have a no shouting policy that's absolutely adhered to the whole time in the school. When a child is dysregulated or feeling upset or bad about something that's happened, the worst thing that we can do is make them feel worse. The idea is that an adult intervening is to support them in helping make things better and helping them make a positive choice next time. I've mentioned our zones of regulations a little bit already, and you'll see more of that as we go through the door. But on the bottom left you can see green, red, yellow and blue pots, and those are to help the children talk about their feelings, and we talk about being in the green zone. The green zone is when everything's okay, I'm ready for learning. The red zone is those really, really big feelings, so extremely angry or very, very anxious or very, very excited. The yellow zone is what we refer to as fizzy feelings, and that might be a little bit worried, a little bit excited. And the blue zone are those slower feelings, so tired or feeling sad. And all of those zones are absolutely fine. They're normal emotions for the children to experience and for adults to experience too. But the idea in terms of being ready to learn is to be in the green zone. So the children are able to articulate that perhaps they're in the blue zone and be able to explore why they're in the blue zone, and the adults can then help them navigate back to the green zone, and that might be by giving them strategies or time out or a different way of supporting them back into the green zone. And that's something, a system that is embedded across the school. There's lots more information on our website if you're interested. You may have seen the film Inside Out, and it's quite similar to that sort of approach. So the individual feelings becoming overwhelming and us being able to support the children into successful learning behaviour. Let's have a look at some of the classes across the rest of the school. You'll see similarities in all year groups from year 1 up to year 6. We like to keep a consistent approach so the children know what to expect and know what they can access in their classrooms. Obviously, it's adapted in terms of their age and stage. So top left we have a typical year 1 classroom, and this is halfway now through the autumn term. At the beginning of the year, it looks much more like an early years classroom with different activities that children can choose and move around very freely. Now we're moving towards a slightly more formal way of working. When I say formal, I don't want you to feel that that's sitting down at tables all the time. That's absolutely not the case. Lots and lots of active engagement and lots of fun through all aspects of our learning all the way through the school. The children will generally start on that large carpet area, looking at the smart boards, perhaps with their individual little whiteboards, learning together, perhaps doing some shared writing or some maths calculations together, introducing maybe a new aspect of maths, and then go off and work at tables, perhaps supported by an adult or working independently or with a small group of friends. Adults across the school are organised to support the individual needs of children or groups of children. So there's obviously a class teacher in every classroom. In early years, there are nursery nurses working alongside in classrooms as well. Across the rest of the school, teaching assistants are put in classrooms to support children with education, health and care plans or very, very high levels of special educational needs. You can see that there's a covered area outside year one, and that runs all the way across year one and all around early years as well, so the children can work outside even if it's pouring down with rain. And there's a wild area there at the front of the schools that's running just alongside Villiers Road. There's a covered pond, there's opportunities to make dens and just be involved in more the natural environment. And that can be used by all children. It's particularly used by year one and year two throughout the day, but sometimes at playtimes by other children as well across the school. We have a book corner in every single classroom, and I'll talk a little bit more about reading as we move. Moving on now to look at some other aspects of the classroom environment. You can see the year two classroom there in the top right. It's very similar to year one, and that's what you'll see in most classes and most times of the year. So tables grouped together so children can work together independently with a partner and with an adult. In the top left, you can see an example of a theme-based board, a topic-based display board. Where do we belong is one of our topics. It's history and geography based in year two. If you have a look at our website, at our curriculum, you'll see many, many more examples of the themes and topics that we study across the whole school. And we try where possible to link learning into an overarching topic for a term in each class. Literacy magpie board and working wall, those are examples of where we share information on boards around the room that children can steal ideas from. The working wall shows a shared write that the children have done with their teacher. So that will be the children working with the teacher and the teacher modelling the writing that's expected. And the children can then steal ideas for their own writing. And you'll see that across the school. There are lots of areas for learning in the school, and you'll see that we don't waste a single space. So there are little tables in corridors for small group work or one-to-one work. You can see there on the right-hand side are small group intervention rooms, and they're used for different things across each day and from term to term. So there's the same IT provision in those spaces, although they're much smaller, and you can work one-to-one or with a small group in that environment. Bottom left is a year 6 classroom. Again, you can see the similarities, just a different age group. At the start of each year, each class does a class frame. You can see Matisse class and O'Keeffe class there, and they do all sorts of artwork and put that in a frame together, learning about their class artist, and that's their class frame for the year. You also see that we've got a fish tank area there, very good for calming down or just thinking, and a space to work. And also crucially to the leadership of the school is the junior leadership team. We have a very serious process of applying for junior leadership roles. It's very much like an adult applying for a job. The children do a written application, they do a presentation in front of their peers, and they have an interview with the senior leadership team. And from that we appoint co-chairs, who are year 6 pupils who lead the rest of the junior leadership team. So co-chairs, vice-chairs and an equality and diversity lead. And they lead the rest of the team, which comprises of prefects, house captains, eco-warriors and the school council as well. And the school council are representatives from every year group from year 1 up to year 6, and they are voted for by their peers. Again, that's an opportunity for children to learn about electing a representative and democracy in action. So that again is run in a very similar way to adults voting in an election where they're choosing leaders. let's look in a little bit more detail at our reading and writing. So read writing is our phonics scheme that's used across the school. It doesn't matter what phonics scheme a school uses as long as they use it consistently. As I say, we use Read Write Inc. We've slightly adapted some of it to suit the children in our school. So the children will learn the picture clue for the sound itself, the spelling choice, and a little phrase that will support them in remembering that, so that when they move through the school, they can refer back to that when they're thinking about their spellings. We train parents much more once they're in the school. There's information on the website as well so that you can learn more about Read Writing. I've already mentioned shared writing, and literacy lessons are full of opportunities for shared writing or teacher-led writing. The teacher might have already written a sample text up, and the children might help them up-level it, choose particular vocabulary, up-level, select the correct spelling choices, or perhaps punctuation, and that's showing and modelling the editing process as well. Or the teacher might start with a blank piece of paper and they might be modelling how to write a letter, and the children will support them with that. So when the children then go off to their own tables, they then are clear about what they're trying to achieve. Our bucket list reading books run alongside our learning to read books, so the colour banded books that progressively help children learn to read. So that's about decoding, sounding out. The bucket lists are just purely for enjoyment, so we want children to love reading. It's a life skill. It will support every other aspect of their learning, so that enjoyment of reading is absolutely key. And as you go through the year, you'll see little post-it notes up on these books, a different selection in each class, and children might be recommending something like, this is amazing if you like adventure stories, or this is great if you like stories about animals. In our school, we use Maths Mastery as an approach to teach mathematics. Key in every classroom is that we use concrete resources, and that's all from nursery all the way up to year 6, pictorial representations to support learning, and then moving to the abstract. So we don't go straight into equations or calculations that are abstract. Everything is supported by concrete resources and pictorial representations. We found that it's had a huge impact on the children's confidence in maths, and particularly in their mental recall and arithmetic skills. You can see there some examples of the part-whole model, and again we'll teach you more about this if you join our school. So the whole number is 5 and the two parts could be 2 or 3. You could take one of those numbers away and the children could work out what number is missing, and they would also be able to work out that the whole is 5, the two parts could be 1 and 4, or could be 0 and 5. You can see there some tens frames with the red and yellow counters. And again, the idea of these within Maths Mastery is support the children quickly being able to identify 10 bonds, number bonds to 10. So for example, working out 8 plus 5, they know that the 8 red counters on the tens frame, there are 2 more spaces to make up the 10. So it's this, and then there's an additional 3. So 8 plus 5, if you move the 2 yellow counters to form a 10, it's the same as 10 plus 3. And again, that supports children's understanding and underpins all of their maths work. Around the school as well, you'll see lots and lots of consistent approaches to support children in their general social, emotional, mental health and in the expectations within the school. So here are a few examples. We talked about Wiltshire Room, the inclusion room, right at the very beginning, and I mentioned the worry monster. You can see here on the I Need to Talk poster, which is displayed in every classroom, Billy the Worry Monster and the Rainbow Monster. And the idea is that children find it very difficult to learn if they've got any kind of worries that they're holding on to. So the important thing is to talk about worries and not hold on to them. So talk about them with your family, talk about them with the teacher or teaching assistants that might be working within the classroom, talk about them with the nurture team in Wiltshire, the leadership team. You can also call Childline and make sure children are aware of those external services. And also, very importantly in our school, Billy and Rainbow, the worry eaters. And that's for a child who might find it difficult to articulate how they're feeling or the worry that they've got. They can draw a picture and put their name on it, or they can write it down, and they can put it in one of the worry monsters. They've got zip-up mouths, so the idea is you pop the worry in, you zip it up and it's taken out of your head, and then a member of the inclusion team will pick that up and support the child in dealing with it at a later point in the day. And those worries can be really big ongoing worries, or they can be tiny worries that can be sorted out really quickly. The main thing is that we know about them, we deal with them so that they're not a barrier to learning. There are lots of butterflies around the school, and on the right you can see they're displayed our butterfly dreams. We use a short poem about a caterpillar who's dreaming of becoming a butterfly and spreading their wings and flying. So at the beginning of every year we talk to the children about their hopes and aspirations and their dreams, and we want children to have big dreams. They might be dreams for this year, they might be something like learning all their times tables or getting their pen licence, or it might be something enormous that's like a lifelong ambition, or it might be a career ambition, they want to be a scientist or something. But for us it's really important for children to be thinking beyond the classroom, beyond the kind of here and now, about big dreams and aspirations. We asked the children to do random acts of kindness each day, and our junior leadership team thought of some, if the children couldn't think of something to do, that these are ones that they could do. But most of the children will be very, very well versed in doing a random act of kindness every day. We also talked to the children about marvellous mistakes, and that a fail is not a fail. If something goes wrong, it's just the first attempt in learning. And we launched this with the children by sharing a video of an orangutan building a hammock. And the orangutan builds the hammock, and the first time he builds it, he gets in, sits down, and it's really uncomfortable and really small. So the orangutan undoes the hammock and starts again. And we always use that as a sort of launch point in understanding that mistakes are good, and that's when we do our best learning. Other things that we really promote in the school is that self-belief, because it's very well being good at maths or good at English or a great scientist, but actually what we need to be doing is supporting children becoming great learners and confident individuals so that they can tackle anything that is thrown at them in life. So we talk to the children about believing in themselves, and when they're feeling like a tiny kitten, imagining their reflection as a tiger. And the goldfish, particularly important. I often say in assembly, oh, I'm standing here in front of you all and I feel like the goldfish today, but I'm imagining that I've got my shark's fin on the back and it's helping me to be brave, so I'm going to have a go. So be brave, even if you're not, pretend to be, and that helps you tackle and helps you persevere with any challenges that come up within the day and within the year. I mentioned at the beginning that we have some big group rooms that are in the new part of our school building. One of those group rooms is used flexibly across the week, but predominantly at the beginning of the week for art sessions, and we're very lucky we have a specialist art teacher who delivers art lessons to the majority of the school. It might vary from term to term depending on the curriculum that that child's learning. You can see some examples of the amazing artwork that's produced, and again it is linked to the cross-curricular topic that the children are studying at the time. There's also opportunities to cook in that room, but you'll also equally go in at a different point in the week and you might see a maths group, or you might see drama therapy, or perhaps a club running in there. So it's a real multi-purpose room. And upstairs, our group room again is multi-purpose. You might see a phonics session, you might see a maths group in there, or you might see a group reading. But it's also used as our music room. We have a specialist music teacher for 2 days a week, and it's also our library too, and children have library sessions each week moving through the year. We're very lucky in that our specialist music teacher teaches ukulele to year 4. So the music curriculum is really diverse, and you'll walk into a music lesson, you'll see lots and lots of different instruments, lots of opportunities to sing, to learn about notation, to learn about the culture around music. But also in year 4, children have the opportunity to study ukulele for the year. Many children might take up piano lessons or violin lessons, guitar lessons through Kingston Music Service, which are available through the school at an additional cost. But actually all children, we feel it's really important, have that opportunity to study an instrument at some point in their lives, even if they never pick up an instrument again. So ukulele is taught in year 4, and the children take those instruments home so they can practice. Here you can see our school halls. We're very lucky in that we have a large school hall and we have a small hall too. Both are used flexibly across the day. So in the large hall you might see PE lessons happening in there, particularly if it's raining outside. You might see gymnastics or dance specifically. You'll see children eating their lunch. You'll also see assemblies taking place in the morning and afternoon. So Key Stage 2 have an assembly in the morning, that's year 3, 4, 5 and 6, and Key Stage 1 in the afternoon, that's year 1 and 2. Reception children and nursery children just join us for very special assemblies. When the children come into lunch, they generally sit within their class group, particularly if they're in reception year 1. As they move through the school, they can sit actually where they like. So they might have a sibling in a different year group, and if they happen to be in the hall at the same time, it's fine for them to sit with them. Or they might have a friend or neighbour in a different year group or a different class. And again, if they end up in the lunch hall at the same time, it's absolutely fine for them to sit where they'd like to sit. It's about a social experience. Children can bring packed lunch, or they can have a school meal. And school meals are cooked in our school kitchen that you can see there on the top right. And you choose those at home and book them online. So you can chop and change throughout the week, book school meals for the days that you want them, bring packed lunches for the other days, but you have the menu provided and you select the meal that you would like your child to have. And then when they arrive in the lunch hall, they're given a coloured band to represent the meal they're going to have. So a red band for maybe a meat or fish option, a green band for vegetarian, yellow for jacket potato, and then the staff know exactly what meal they're having. School meals are delicious. We have a salad bar and a fruit bar running alongside the main meal as well that the children can help themselves to. School meals are free up until the age of 7, so at the end of year 2, and then you pay for them after that, although some children are entitled to free school meals throughout their school time. I've already talked a little bit about zones of regulation. You can see a big display in our hall there around the zones and how we can support the children in being in the right zone at the right time. We have a very important International Day every year in the school, and that comprises of lots of different activities from around the world during the day. We mix up classes and children work with different adults and children from different year groups. We encourage children to wear national costumes, or maybe the colours of a flag that they like, or a country they've been to, or a country they'd like to go to. And we also talk a lot about the world as a whole and the places we'd like to visit, perhaps places we've lived or members of our families have lived. Again, we really try and celebrate that international nature of the school, the cultural diversity, and really draw on the expertise of families and children within the school and the staff population too. At the end of International Day, we have a food market where families bring in food from around the world, and we share that together in a sort of marketplace at the end of the day. The multi-use games area is used throughout each day. It's absolutely fantastic. We use it for PE lessons, which is very obvious, but we also use it for during breakfast club, after school club. We run lots of different sports clubs on it, and also at playtimes as well. And the children rotate using it at different playtimes depending on their year group. Following the development of the Muga, we developed the Key Stage 2 playground, and this was a long process, and it was designed by children, by staff and parents. And we really had a focus on sustainability and a real opportunity to develop physical development for everyone, as well as the communication and language and opportunities for social experience too. So you can see there huge climbing frames. We've got 2 of those, a large rock that the children can climb on. Table tennis is incredibly popular. We have a track that runs around the edge of the whole playground, and if you run around that 8.5 times, that's a mile. We encourage children to run either the daily mile or for specific events such as the mini marathon, and that's something that's very popular both in PE lessons and break times. And there's also areas to sit quietly in the courtyard and just chat to your friends, or do role play, creative play and imaginative play. There are lots of different spaces in the Key Stage 2 playground. You can see there on the bottom right a large hill. That's a massively popular area to play on. The children run up and down it, they roll down it, all sorts of imaginative games, and standing on the top you can see over the whole playground, which is really lovely. We also have an allotment area that's actually been developed since that photo in the top right. So the children all have a raised bed for each year group, and they grow all sorts of vegetables and fruit and plants in those. And we're still developing the area around the hut, which is going to be a wild area, hopefully with a pond as well. You can see there some children enjoying the outdoor learning environment, some more photographs of the large climbing equipment, and some children in the now developed allotment area. We do lots of trips and visits and invite people into school to support children with their wider understanding of the world around them and develop their experience. So you can see there the firefighters visiting reception class as part of their topic of children who help us. They came to the school. One of our netball teams out competing in a cross-borough tournament. Year 6 out and about at the Magistrates Court looking at the justice system in action. and one of our residential PGL trips, which is a year 6 trip towards the end of the year, that's sort of outward bounds, raft building, high ropes, lots of things that are going to challenge and push the children into new experiences ready for secondary school. And we do lots of things such as going to London. We're very fortunate in the good transport links around us that we can very easily hop on a train and go up to a gallery or to a museum or to the theatre, again to give the children wider experience outside of the classroom. We have lots of different clubs that run after school for fun, such as chess and gymnastics and PE sports-based clubs, as well as drama and choir. And those run across the year, and they're different for different age groups at different times of the year. We also have wraparound care, so we run our own breakfast club from 7:45 to 8:45 each morning, and that runs in the Athelstan Centre, which is a part of the building that backs onto the Key Stage 2 playground that you've already seen. And then after school we have wraparound care that runs from 3:15. Children are collected from the classrooms, and then they're cared for until 6 o'clock. And again, those are optional extras that you can pay for as part of the childcare at either end of the school day. The After School Club also runs in the Athelstan Centre. We have an amazing Parent Carer School Association that does all sorts of events across the year, both just for fun and for fundraising as well. We're currently really frantically fundraising to develop the Key Stage 1 playground, which at the moment is a totally blank canvas, and we want to look more like the Key Stage 2 playground in the future. Pretty much everything we do we book online, so if you're booking a wraparound care for breakfast club or paying for trip items and things like that, it's all done on Parent Pay. School uniform is very straightforward. We have plain black pinafore dresses, tailored shorts, trousers, skirts, all of those options with a polo shirt, either a plain white polo shirt, which is absolutely fine, or the one with the school logo on it, and then the school sweatshirt or cardigan. And those items the children must wear the school logoed sweatshirt and cardigan, and they're available from a local uniform provider. The children also need a book bag, and that's just to take any of their reading books, particularly backwards and forwards. Most other information is emailed to you. And PE uniform, very straightforward again, black shorts or black sports leggings with a plain white t-shirt and their school sweatshirt. The children come in on PE days in their PE uniform, and parents have reported that eases the amount of uniform that is needed to get through in each week. So they arrive in either their main school uniform or their PE uniform, depending on their timetable that day. And with their main school uniform, they wear black leather or leather look school shoes, and with their PE uniform, they wear trainers. When the children are in reception, they don't generally have PE uniform straight away. They normally are in their main school uniform, and then later on in the year, they start wearing their PE uniform. Many parents will want to know more about the academic results from our school. And if you have a look at our school website, you'll be able to see the academic results from the end of phase of the last year. For us, it's very much focused on your child's individual progress. So a child's progress from their individual starting point, wherever that is, in all of the subjects. So for us, that partnership and working with families to make sure children make good progress in our school is the most important thing. We want children to be happy and confident individuals ready to face the next stage of their education. And on that note, people ask about secondary school destinations coming from King Athelstan. We don't have a particular feeder school, and as we're based here in the middle of Kingston, children generally go to a lot of the different Kingston and sometimes Richmond secondary schools. We are very close to Hollyfield, which is at the top of the road, but we are not a feeder school for Hollyfield. Children go in all directions, and some of them also choose the selective schools as well and do entrance exams for those. So many different destinations because of our location here in the middle of Kingston. And parents in year 6 will be doing exactly the same as you're doing in terms of looking at primary school. They'll be looking at tours of secondary schools, they'll be visiting and looking at that next decision for their child. I hope you found the information on this tour useful, and we look forward to meeting you in person and answering any other questions that you have. We'll see you soon.